where we will be able to understand and learn many things about theories, important theories. Okay, I don't need to introduce us, sir. You know more than I know him now, by now. And if you have questions, you can ask him. He will answer any type of questions. Some of you are asking me, why did God create the mosquito? Why did God create mosquitoes? No? So you will answer all those things. So to begin with, let us have a word of prayer, and our sir will take it over. Lord, we are grateful to you for giving us this another opportunity where we will come together here and learn very important things about the scripture, about the creation, and also at the same time equip ourselves as we face many critical questions in our ministry. Thank you for the life of our teacher. May you continue to bless him, may you continue to use him to inspire all of us. We surrender this time of our seminar into your hand, asking your blessings and your willing hand. We offer this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning. It's lovely to be with you again. And quick summary of what we have done yesterday. Okay? Science. What's the meaning of word science? Knowledge. There are two types of science. Operational science and origin science. What is the operational science? The science that we can do in the laboratory, and we can confirm it, and we can repeat it. Historical science starts with two different points. One called naturalistic, which means matter is all what exists, time, chance, laws of nature. We have another starting point, which is the Bible. We believe that God is eternal, outside time, all-powerful, or knowledgeable, holy God and good God. Yes. And we believe that the Bible is the Word of God. Okay? So, these are the two different starting points in the historical science or origin science. Now, I had few questions about the description of the biblical account in chapter 1 and in chapter 2. And we'll address that today before we go into the creation evolution issue with Darwin. Okay? So why we should trust God? Because He was there from the beginning. He had seen it, and He is describing it to us in Moses. Knows everything, always tells the truth, never makes mistakes, loves us. I like the word never makes mistakes, because the scientists make in history lots of mistakes, like this one here. This is somebody called Haeckel, and Haeckel was living during the time of Darwin. And he said the embryology, the little fetuses in the womb, he said they are all like each other, like all the animals are the same. So he said we are just an animal. And he wrote this, and he gave the impression that everybody is like, goes through stages of animals. And Ernest Haeckel really was drawing these things by his own, and it was no evidence in embryology that this is the case. And that's proven to be wrong. So this is a scientist who wrote things to try to convince us that we are all coming from the same animal kingdom, but it is wrong. I showed you this before, and we just continue on the creation now, and talk about the creation days, and really understand them well. So day one, what happened in day one? God created the earth, the space, that's the heaven, created light. What was the earth at the beginning? Was a mass surrounded by water. So water is created in day one. So water, mass, solid mass, surrounded by water, and God created time, that's the start of time. And the question really that I always get from you is what God was doing before creation, right? God does not need creation to be complete. God does not need creation. We need Him. So He's outside time. And He's a triune God. So He's the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So He's self-contained. That's why in the creation narrative speaks Elohim. Elohim is God, the triune God, who is self-contained and content, and he doesn't need anything at all. But he created out of love, created the world, the perfect world, which was destroyed. That brings the question of why he created mosquitoes. Let me just tell you something about the insects. The insects play a very important role of our life. They do the pollination of the plants. If we don't have insects, we will not have life. If we don't have bacteria, we will not have life. But after the fall, they became harmful. So the original mosquito, or the origin of the family of mosquitoes, the big boss in mosquito, was useful. But after the fall, after the curse, they became harmful. Okay? You see the point? You understand now? Good. So day one, we have the earth, the space, time, and light. And this light is different from the sun. And in the evening, you go out, the sun is not there, and you see light coming from another stars. Yes? So light is not the sun is not the only source of light. Light meaning waves and something called photon, pulses, impulses. Okay? So light is the source of light in our earth is the sun. Because in day 4, God decided that the sun and the moon will become the source of light on earth. You understand? So the light in day 1 is not the sun. The sun was created in day 4. The light in day 1 is just a source of light. So what happens is the earth rotates around itself, yes, to make a day. So one part of the earth will subject it to the light, the other will subject it to darkness, and it rotates. So that meaning there was an evening and morning first day. We understand this? That's important. Okay? Day 2. What happened in day 2? God built the expanse, the outer space, and the atmosphere around the earth. Day 3, God ordered the solid land to appear, and the waters became the oceans, and he created the plants according to its kind. According to its kind. Remember that. Repeated 10 times in chapter 1. In day 4, God created the sun, moon, and the stars. The sun to control the day, and the moon to be the light, and the stars in the evening. And he said this is for seasons, years, and festivals. So what means is we don't have the year without having the sun. Yes, because the earth rotates around the sun to make a year. We won't have a month before the moon, because the moon rotates around the earth to make a month. But we can have a day without the sun or the moon, because the day is the rotation of the earth around its axis, one full cycle. Are we all happy with this? Think about it. Yeah? We will repeat that again actually. In day 5, he created the birds, the flying creatures, and he created the marine creatures. Something in the space, something in the water. In day 6, he created the creeping animals, and he created man and woman in day 6. Okay? Right, let us see this video.
On the 5th day of creation, after God sprinkled the universe with planets, stars, and galaxies, he introduced something completely new to creation: life. The Bible describes a whole range of things as living, from birds to cattle, from fish to humans. Even God himself. Since God is a spirit and alive, this is a clue that life is not physical, but the Bible doesn't actually define what life is. When science textbooks try to define life, they describe DNA, or cells, or chemical reactions. Biology textbooks end up describing what living things are made of and what living things do. They do not actually define life itself. What happens, for example, when an animal dies? DNA and cells are still in place, but life is missing. Life can't be weighed or measured. It seems to be beyond the tools of science. The non-physical nature of life may explain why biologists are so unsure about which things are alive. In fact, their list of living things does not entirely match the Bible's list. The Bible, for example, never describes plants as living. Instead, it calls them green things. The word living does not appear in the Bible until God made the animals of the sea 2 days after He created plants. The marvelous animals of the air, sea, and land are all described as living things. Where did this mysterious life come from? We can't even restore life to an animal that has died, let alone create life from scratch. The Bible tells us that life is a gift of God. The abundance of living things all around us is a good reminder of our living God, who is the source of all life.
So this video really want to explain one fact. What is the meaning of life? Life is appearing in the Bible in day 5. Before that, in day 3, what happened? The plants. The plants are not has life like the animals, because the plants are mainly a source of food. And in chapter 1, we read that God gave the plants for human and for animals as a source of food. So when you eat plants, you haven't killed anything at all, because there was no death before the fall. After the fall of Adam and Eve, God killed an animal and shed blood for forgiveness of sin. And after Noah's flood, and after Noah came out of the ark, God allowed humans to eat animals, killed animals, after they shed their blood. So eating animals happens after Noah. Before that, it was the main source of food was plants. And plants are not living like the living animals. These are two types of life. Okay? Just keep that in mind, because that will help us later on. Now, according to its kind. So this is the lion, and you have the cat as well. And the wild cat. They are in the same group as lions. You have the elephants. You have different types of elephants, but they are all one family. So God created according to its kind, according to its kind. If you remember this word, you will understand lots of things in creation. There are different types of horses, but they are all horses. Nothing of them are cats. They are horses, right? Different types, yes, but they are horses. Humans, we have different shapes and sizes and skin color and the eyes and the ear and the nose, and all of that is different. But we are all one kind. We are the human kind. And I told you, when they mapped the human genome from all different groups of people, they found we are all one race. Okay? So we are one kind. Let us see what's in this. Made from God's image. Let us watch this.
Humans have a unique position in the created order. After God made all the wonders of heaven and earth, the stars, plants, and animals, He then did something very special. He made man in His image. That separates us from the rest of creation. But what does it mean? Biologists look at our outward appearance and classify us within animals. But there's much more to us than bones and hair. The Bible says God is a spirit, so the image of God must not refer to physical appearance. Compared to animals, it's obvious that we have been endowed with a unique combination of non-physical traits, including language, logic, creativity, and a desire for justice, mercy, and truth. Animals may exhibit a quality like creativity in some small measure, but not in the same way in excellence of men. For example, some animals use simple tools, but we make complex tools that produce other tools. Birds build nests and spiders weave webs, repeating their designs over and over. But we create completely new designs. Yet, it's important to note that the Bible never equates the image of God with any single ability like intelligence, or any combination of abilities like creativity, love, or wisdom. Each one of us is God's image because God said so. No matter how smart or talented we are, no matter our health, skin shape, age, or gender. In fact, the Bible seems to emphasize that the image of God is a status that God Himself bestowed on us. The Hebrew word translated image is sachem, the exact same word used for images that ancient kings made to represent themselves throughout their kingdom. It seems that the Creator of heaven and earth gave man the distinct honor and responsibility to be His image, showing God's love on earth.
So this film will just explain to us we are unique. We are made on God's image, male and female. God obviously is not male and female. God is a spirit. So He has no body like us. But we are created on His image in character. So if we are healthy or ill, we are still God's image. If we are rich or poor, we are still God's image. If we are male or female, we are still God's image. Alright? And that is very important. And He said the image is like when the kings in the past used to try to control a vast land, like in Egypt. The king will have a statue of him at the border with the next country to show that he is present in this area. So we are representative of God because we are God's image. Okay? All these things are very important to understand. So now we have two different historical events. One is the evolution idea. We started with haphazard chemical reaction forming the first cell. The first cell started to multiply and form the tree of life. Now we have a different creation narrative. The creation narrative, we are created according to its kind, according to its kind. And then the flood came and wiped everything except the people inside the ark and all the animals that God brought to Noah. And then they came after the flood and populated the earth. You remember this one? This is very important picture. The evolution we are against is molecule to man, from bacteria to fish to amphibians to reptiles to birds to animals to man. This is impossible from the scientific point of view. There are no intermediates between all these structures. And from biblical point of view, what we believe in the creation model is God created according to His kind, according to His kind, according to His kind, and within the kind there are changes. Yes? So we see changes, but within the kind. No kind will move to another one. You see the point? Right. Now, when death entered the world, this is very important. When do you think death entered the world? Any answer? Sorry, I can't hear any answer. Sorry? No, somebody has to speak to me. I will not accept that. Yeah. Has death been from day 1?
No.
Day 2?
No.
Day 3?
No.
Day 4?
No.
Day 5?
No.
Day 6?
No.
So when death entered the world then? After the fall of Adam and Eve. Yes? But in evolution theory, they think millions of years ago, death was with us. So we started simple and survival of the fittest. So some died and some survived, and the survivor started to breed, and survival of the fittest till we come to the man. So it starts by cycles of death. But as I said, death came after sin, after day 6. You see the point? Now, the biblical creation, we have a perfect created man, fully functioning. and then disobeyed God, and sin entered into the world, and that's what we have sin till now, and we have death till now. Okay? So there are two different models of sin. Right. So, in the biblical model, there was whole creation is groaning now because of the sin that entered and the curse that happened to the serpent, to Eve, to Adam, to earth. You remember that in chapter 3. We studied that in the first day. So the earth is groaning and suffering and pain, and all the trouble that we see nowadays is because of sin. But this is not the end. So we started with a perfect world. Now sin entered into the world, but Jesus came and died for our sin. And now we are awaiting new heaven and new earth. So that is the biblical model. We didn't start with death and death improving the product all the time as a revolution. We started by perfect world. Sin entered into the world. Jesus came and paid the penalty of our sin. We are awaiting a perfect world again when Jesus Christ comes second time. So that is completely different from the evolution story. Now, I will address the question about chapter 1 and chapter 2 in Genesis. Okay? Because in chapter 1, it gives us overview of the creation, day 1, day 2, day 3. In chapter 2, it goes back and what we call flashback, highlighting some events of the creation week. Right? So it's not contradictory at all. And this is, I would like to address this question before we enter into Darwin. Okay? So if anyone have any question in this particular area, please ask your question. So the first thing they ask is, lots of things happened in day 6 that cannot be accommodated in 24 hours. Okay, let us see. God created land, animals, and the garden. Does that need lots of time? No, because God can create with His order. So God created the Garden of Eden and the land animals. God created Adam. Again, He took the dust of the earth and made Adam and breathed in him life. Adam starts to tend the garden. God said to Adam, I put you in the Garden of Eden to start looking after it. That doesn't take too much time. Yeah? He's just starting the job. God saw Adam's needs. And that's very important. Because one question yesterday is, Adam, after he named all the animals, he didn't find a helper for himself. So God created Eve. The question here is, Adam did not grow up and said, okay, now I need a wife. No, God saw Adam's need, that he will need a wife, so he created Eve for him. So it doesn't take a lot of time for Adam to realize that he needs a wife, because this is God's decision to Adam. So, Adam named the animals and the birds. And again, naming is coming from kind. So he will say birds, he will say cattle, he will say sheep. He will name the head of the family. He doesn't have to name all the sub-branches of the family. You see the point? So he can name them, and there was some calculation about how many kinds that were originally created, and it was calculated it doesn't take more than a few hours for Adam to name all the animals. God put Adam to sleep, and then God created Eve. So all of that can be accomplished in 24 hours. So day 6 is not so busy because it can be accommodated. Right. So there is no contradiction between chapter 1 and chapter 2 in Genesis. And that is really very important to understand. These are the days of creation, and they are the 24 hours days of creation. Okay? Are you happy about this question? Yeah, your question. Yeah, you bring the mic and speak to me, please.
Genesis first chapter, 26 verses.
Yeah, let me just follow with you. First chapter what?
First chapter, 26 verse.
Yeah. Okay, read that.
Let us make man in our image.
Yeah.
God, here he used plural. It means God is one person or so many.
No, God is plural in one. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So He is three in one. And this unity of God, He is only one God, but He is three person in one. Okay? Yeah.
It means Son already is there in the beginning. Jesus.
Yes, Jesus was there in the beginning. Yes, absolutely. And in the New Testament, we read, are we listening? Because this is very important question. Yes, Jesus did not exist the day He was born. Jesus existed before the creation of the world. And Jesus really is the Word of God, the expression of God. So God created by the Word, by Jesus. By Him and for Him, all things were made. We read that in Colossians. Right? So Jesus was there before creation. Yes.
And God here He made our
Yeah.
His own image. Why He created gays and lesbians?
No, that's very good actually. The gays and lesbian is a very big topic. God did not create gays and lesbians. God created man and woman distinct from each other. Yeah, are we listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if you're listening, nobody can talk or look at the back. No one. In my class, sorry, I'll be very strict. Okay? I took all this journey, 3 flights to come here. So really, the questions are very important. Right. God did not create lesbians or gays at all. God created perfect man and perfect woman distinct from each other to form a family. Now, the gays and lesbians, this is a mental decision. They decided, they have all the organs of a man or organs of a woman, but they decided to behave differently. So that is deviation from God's creation. He didn't create that. He created man and woman. Great question. Any more?
Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you. Right. Any more questions while I put my next slide here? Okay, any more questions? Yeah, come please. Yeah?
Yeah, my question is,
Yeah?
in that time, why God created Adam only? Like, because of that, people, like, especially male, they think women are nothing. Like, because of that, we are inferior. Like, they think we women are inferior than men.
No.
So, like, that is our, like, social status. But my question is, why God created male only first? He
Yes.
can create Adam first, or you, like, I'm not agree that why He created man first. But because of that, we are in.
Yes. That's a very good question. Have we heard the question? Yes. The people at the back. So what is the question at the back? No, you can't do that to me. No chance. You can say anything and no, I won't accept any of that. No. You don't know me well yet. Right, I will repeat the question. Why God created Adam first? And because He created Adam first, women feel inferior. That's completely wrong. Completely wrong. Male and female are equal before God. Remember, all of that happened in day 6. So we are talking in 24-hour periods. Okay? So He created Adam first. If He created Eve first, you will ask me why He created Eve first. So the same question. So the idea, yeah, and men will feel inferior, yeah? So, there is no superior and inferior at all. At all. God created us equal. Males are important, females are important. If the whole world is only males, there will be no population. If only the world is all females, there will be no population. So we need the male and female, and they are both equal and both important in all cultures. Don't worry about the Eastern culture sometimes treat the women differently. That's wrong. And you shouldn't accept that. We are all equal before God, 100% equal. Right. There are two different roles in the man and the woman. So the Bible describes that like the head and the body. The head is not superior to the body, because if I have only head and I have no legs, I cannot go anywhere. That's right. If you are only head, you don't have hands, you don't have a body, you don't have legs, you'll be in trouble. Right? And if you are only body without the head, you are in trouble as well. So, the head and the body relationship is harmony. The head is the central nervous system. So the head will give order to my hand to hold this Bible. The hand has to obey. If the hand say, no, I'm not going to do this, nothing will happen. So the man is the head of the family. So there will be a response to his leadership. But at the same thing, the leader feels the needs of the body. So I will not really harm my hand, because it's my hand. So the woman is the hand and the body of the man, and the man is the head of the woman. But it can be a single man or a single woman. That's still a complete entity before God. So there is man, woman, and family. Right? So these are the structure that God agrees about. Man, woman, and family. Right? And that's God's model of creation. Very good questions, actually. Right, any more? Yes, come in front. Get the mic ready. Yes, get the mic ready. Yes,
God is spirit.
yes,
We'll accept that one. But chapter 126 saying, let us create in our image.
yes.
God is spirit, but we have a physical image.
Exactly, yes, that's a very good question. Yeah. So, let me explain that. We heard the question? Yeah, what is the question at the back? One person. Yeah, that's slightly better. Right. Okay. God is a spirit, and He's saying, let us create the man in our image. But we are not spirits, we are bodies and spirit. Right. When we say in our image, it's not image physically, because God is a spirit. Yeah? Image in quality. So we have conscience, we have decision making, we can love, we can have relationship with God. So this is the image of God. It's not the physical image of God, because God doesn't have any God. That's why when we are separated from God by sin, we needed to come back to Him. Everyone in the world is searching for meaning of life. We find meaning of life of God. And that's why we are in the image of God spiritually, not physically. Great. Any more questions before I progress? Yes, your question.
In the beginning, how Eve and serpent communicate with each other?
How the serpent what?
Serpent and Eve, how they communicate with each other?
Yes, how they communicate with each other. That's a very good question. Right. Let me explain. Now, when God created Adam, he was not a little baby and grew up, started to learn how to speak, started to speak language, and started to go education, and then started to communicate. It wasn't like that at all. God created Adam fully functioning man with great mind and able to speak. He doesn't have to go to school or college to learn. He was very educated as a created being. Okay? So, Adam and Eve were created mature. There are two people talking at the back. Two people talking at the back. That's not allowed.
Not allowed.
Right, okay. No, I do that. It's not allowed either. Right, okay. Right. So, Adam was complete and able to speak. Eve, when was created from day one, is able to speak. It's not like a baby and then growing. Yes? Now, what language they were speaking, we don't know. Because it was only one language till the Tower of Bethel. The confusion, remember? Creation, corruption, catastrophe, confusion. After the Tower of Bethel, God divided the languages. And different groups of people went to different places. Alright? And that's really when the language started. So, Adam and Eve, day one, are able to speak. What language? We don't know what language. Okay? Now, how the serpent communicated to Eve, this is, as I said, the serpent was embodied by Satan. And Satan was able to speak. Like when Jesus entered in Mark chapter 5, entered one village and he found this man who was really possessed by evil. Jesus was able to communicate with this man and the Spirit was speaking through the man. So Jesus said, "What's your name?" He said, "We are a group, we are Legion." And then they said, "Don't send us. Why did you come early to kill us? Send us to the pigs." So there was a communication through the man, from the spirit of evil, through the man to Jesus. Now, in Eve's situation, Satan embodied the serpent and serpent spoke to Eve. In what language? We don't know that language. Great questions. Any more questions before we progress? Yes. Yeah.
I have a small note. Genesis chapter 1 verse says, God created heaven and earth. God created heaven and earth. What is exactly means heaven?
Yes.
And it is same heaven something. If where we go after death.
Wonderful. That's great. 2 questions. Thank you very much. You heard the questions?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Now, what is the meaning of heaven? God created the earth. We know what earth means. Yes? Earth surrounded by water. Now, what is the meaning of heaven? There are 3 types of heaven in the Bible. Heaven as the atmosphere around the earth. Right? There is atmosphere, 4 layers of atmosphere around the earth. That's when the birds fly in heaven. Right? And the aeroplane flies in heaven, in the atmosphere. The clouds are in heaven. Right? This is the first heaven. The second heaven is the space, the outer space, where there are lots of galaxies and stars. The third heaven is the seat of God. So, when we say God created the heavens, that means He created the expanse, the whole universe, right? The space. So, created time and space in day 1, and separated the water in the space in day 2, right? So, there are 3 heavens: atmosphere around the earth, and that's where the birds are flying, the aeroplanes are flying, and the clouds are there. The heaven as the outer space with all the galaxies, and the heaven as the seat of God. Now, when we die, where we go? We don't go to the atmosphere. We don't go to the outer space. We'll be present with the Lord. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Where is that? There is no specific place that I can say this is the heaven. Because in Revelation chapter 21, there will be new heaven and new earth when the Lord Jesus Christ comes. Okay? I hope that satisfies your question. So there are 3 heavens: atmosphere around the earth, outer space, and the seat of God. So He created obviously heaven 1 and 2. Right, any more questions? Yes, come in. Yeah, 2, that's fine. One after the other. Take the mic, please.
The plurality in verse, let us create in our image, we say that it is all about
God, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Is these three distinctions given by people, men, or it is given by God?
Is what? Sorry, I can repeat that one.
That three
Three in one. Yes.
Three is one is that names Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Is named by people or it is named by God?
All right. Yeah, that's a very good question. No, they are named by God because God represented Himself as the Father. When Jesus came, He said He's a Son. He gave that he declared to us His name and the Holy Spirit. So it is not us thinking, oh, this must be the Son, this must be the Father, this must... No, it is He declared Himself like this. The other thing is, the Son in the family is always younger than the Father and Mother. But this is not the case with Jesus. He is the Son of God from the beginning. So He is not younger than His Father. You see the point? So the word Son, meaning of the same nature, like the Son of human being is human. The Son of God is God. You see the point? So these names are not given, they are declared to us from God. Great question. Any more? No. Your other colleague was coming. Yeah.
My question is related to yesterday afternoon session. Before starting the session, you said, in the beginning, before that beginning, where was the God? You said, God is a spirit, there is no space, there is no need space for the God. Does God have space now or not? And another one?
No, let's have one by one. Okay? Good. Right. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. Where was God before the beginning? Yes? Great. Let me just explain something again about time. We measure time because we are part of the solar system. That means the earth rotates around itself to form a day. We all agree about that? And then the earth rotates around the sun to form a year. Agree? And the moon rotates around the earth to form a month. So that's why we have yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because we are part of the solar system. God lies outside the solar system, so He's not controlled by time. So there's no beginning and no end. Yesterday I gave this example, I hope I still have this. Yes. If I have these sweeties, yeah, and I leave them, what happened? The gravity pulled them down. If I take the same sweeties and go to outer space where there is no gravity and leave them, it will not be pulled down. Yes? So, I can't apply the laws of gravity to a body outside gravity. I can't apply the laws of time to a person who's outside time. So God is outside time. So He has no beginning and no end. In the beginning, which is mentioned in chapter 1, verse 1, is the beginning of time on earth, not beginning of time for God, because He's above time, outside time. Are we all happy about this? I hope we are. Even the sleepy man in front. Yeah, sorry.
My second question is,
Yes.
normally you said the three heavens. The third
Yes.
heaven is the seat of the God.
Yes.
In the seat of the God, God created the heaven and God created angel all those things. Which creation is first? After heaven creation is first or God creation is first?
God, yeah. We don't know because what happens is we don't know when the angels were created. The Bible doesn't explain that. So if the Bible is silent about something, I'm not going to guess. Okay? And I'm not going to give you first and second and third because the Bible didn't tell me that. So I'm not here to guess. I'm here to explain what is written. So we don't know the seat of God again. When we say Jesus on the right hand of the Father, it doesn't mean right hand and left hand like this. The right hand man in an organization is the most important person. And seated, it does need a chair like this. These are material expressions of something which is spiritual. So we can't really answer the second question. Great.
Last.
Yes, you can.
God created Adam.
Yes.
When He created human beings, only in His image only He created. And according to flesh also He created man and woman.
Yes.
But when Jesus said in Matthew chapter 19, 12 verse, we find the eunuchs from the mother's womb. What about them?
We found what, sorry? From what womb?
Eunuchs.
Sorry?
Eunuchs.
Units? Yeah, he will explain to me, no problem. I just couldn't understand the question. Can you repeat it?
Yes, sir. God created a man and woman.
Yes.
But when Jesus, when his time, in Matthew chapter 19, verse 12, Jesus said, eunuchs also born from the womb of mother's womb. What about the eunuchs?
Yeah, give me the verse I can understand. Matthew 19, you said, wait.
12th verse.
Yeah. Matthew 19, wait a minute, I'll read that. Matthew 19, verse 12.
Transgenders. Enoch, sir. Enoch the transgender.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. The eunuchs. The eunuchs are created, right? But they are not sexually functioning, right? And this is some of the changes that happens in embryology, that somebody can be born sterile, right? So this is after the curse, after the entrance of sin coming to the world. The result of that there will be some people who are infertile, okay, eunuchs. So this is malformation that happened not in the original God creation, but then creation as after the fall, and this is the description that Jesus is referring to. So that's after the fall, not in the original creation. Great, thank you. Great questions now. Yes. Good, and we are all hearing the question, we are all responding. I think we achieved a lot this week. Keep going, yes.
My question is almost equal to the previous question.
Yeah.
We don't know the existence of angels.
Existence of what?
Angels.
Angels, yeah.
Previous question.
Yeah.
How about this Saturn? Who created him or who created Lucifer, Saturn?
Yeah.
Who spoke in the
Okay. Yeah. Who created Satan? Let me just explain what the Bible tells us. Because I can't guess, I can't give you my personal views because they are not important. What's important is the Word of God. So, God describes Satan as Lucifer, a bright star, and He said the sin was found in him. He didn't tell us how the sin arrived, but the sin was the pride. He wanted to make his seed as the seed of God. How that happened, we don't know. We don't know that at all. But what we know is there is sin in the world, and there is wrong things in the world, and Satan is the origin of all of that. Okay? How all of that happened, we don't know. And I'm not here to guess. I can't give you a guess. Okay? So we don't know how sin was found in Lucifer, but we knew that Lucifer wanted to make his seed in the place of God.
My second question is, usually people argue that after our death, we directly don't go to heaven, but we will be in paradise until judgment. Where is this paradise? Even Jesus said while he is dying on cross, today you will be with me in paradise.
Yes.
So where is this paradise?
Yeah.
Is there? And same question, where is this Eden garden?
Where is
Eden garden?
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, that's two different big questions actually. Right, I'll answer the first one. Where is the paradise? We don't know physically where is the paradise. We don't know. The Bible doesn't explain. But what happened is, if a Christian who believes in the Lord Jesus Christ as Savior dies, what will happen? He will be in the resting place. He will be absent from the body, present with the Lord. but he will be waiting in this resting place till the second coming of Jesus. And when Jesus comes again, he will change the body of this person and have the glorified body of Christ, and then we go into eternity with Christ. Okay? So we don't know where is this paradise. We don't know physically it will be because it's a spirit. So the spirit can be anywhere. But it is a resting place till the completion of the second coming of Jesus and changing the body of this person. Okay? Now, the second question. Where is the Garden of Eden? Any guesses before I answer this question? What do you think? Sorry. It was what?
Protection of God and His angel.
So where was it?
So don't know the place there.
Right,
Exactly.
okay. Where do you think the Garden of Eden was? Was in the Middle East?
Heaven.
No, it cannot be heaven because we are created on earth. That's a very good thing actually. The Garden of Eden was not in heaven. So Adam and Eve, when they disobeyed God, did not fall from heaven into earth because they were created on earth from the dust. Heaven doesn't have dust. Yeah? Okay. Now, where was the Garden of Eden? That's a very good question. You remember? Yeah, people are talking at the back. People are talking at the back. That's not going to happen. Right. The Garden of Eden, you remember I told you about the flood and the fountains of the deep and the change of all atmosphere and all the earth. So after the flood, everything was mixed up and we don't know where is the Garden of Eden. So, the Garden of Eden, because the world as we know it now has been transformed through the flood. So we don't know physically where is the Garden of Eden. Some people say, because the description of Garden of Eden, there was 4 rivers coming out from the garden. One of them is Euphrates, and the other is Tigris, yeah. And these rivers are in Iraq, in the Middle East. So they say it must be in the Middle East. The answer, no. Because what happens is, after the flood, people start to name the rivers with the same names that they have in the past. So they call these 2 rivers Euphrates and Tigris, right? But it doesn't mean these are the original ones. Like when people immigrated to Australia, for example, they started to name the places that they went to, like the places they have in England and UK. So there is a place called Perth in Australia. Actually, it's coming from a place called Perth, where I live. Right? A place called Hamilton. Hamilton is a very known place in UK. But again, you find Hamilton in Canada, you find Hamilton in other places. So the immigrants took the same names and renamed the cities they were in. Okay? Great. Any more questions? Yes, Guntur.
If Earth is the only place for if Earth is the only place for the survival of human beings, why God created other planets in the universe?
Great questions. Right. If the humans only surviving on Earth, why God created the whole universe? Right. God created the whole universe for His power and beauty and ability to create all of that. But made the earth unique because it's suitable only for humans who are made in the image of God. But God in His wisdom created this massive universe for His glory. And we will be able to answer your question actually in heaven when we see God's understanding of the whole universe. Because the Apostle Paul said, I know in part, so I only know what is written. But there are other questions like yours, which will understand why he made all these galaxies. What are the balances in nature? What are the gravity between all of these bodies? How they rotate with each other? All of this is just wonderful, but we will never be able to answer your question fully till we meet the Lord and He will explain why He made this vast universe. Good question. Any more? Yeah? Yeah, ladies first. Not ladies superior to men or men superior to women. We are all equal. Boys and girls, we are all equal.
Why not gents first?
No, that's just out of politeness. Yeah, but that's a good question as well. Why not gents first? No, we'll let the ladies go first. Yeah? Right, good.
What was the time in the beginning? It is 24 hours per day, more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
How he calculated time per day?
Yes. How we calculated time and what's time 24 hours? Yes. The time in Genesis is day and night. The cycle of day and night. And the cycle of day and night for rotation of the earth is about 24 hours. Okay? So, the cycle is measured by day and night. And there was light, part of the earth exposed to the light, the other part exposed to darkness. The earth rotates, the part which is exposed to the darkness show the light, and the one on the light became dark. Yeah? So that makes the full movement. These full movements were divided into 24 units, and each unit called 60 minutes and 12 hours. Yeah? So the cycle is day and night. This is the cycle. Yeah?
In the beginning, 24 hours is there.
Yes. Because it's a cycle of day and night. And as I said, to define a day, you have evening and morning. And if you have a number, that means it is 24 hours. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, that means it's 24 hours. If you remember, people are talking. You remember I showed you a video, but actually the English was difficult, about professors of Hebrew saying the word Yom, which is the day, which is mentioned in Genesis 1, it reads as 24 hours day. It cannot read like anything, like an unidentified day, period of time. Because you can say, in my father's days, in my grandfather's days, that's unidentified period of time. It's not 24 hours. But when I say, I am here for 6 days, means 6 definite days, right? So the Bible speaks of creation in 6 definite days. Okay? Good. Right. There was another question coming? Yeah, and then yourself. Yeah.
As Christians, we believe that because of Adam's sin,
Yeah.
the whole universe was cursed.
Yes.
And why not angels? All the angels were not cursed because of Lucifer's sin.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Because of Adam's sin, all the creation, all the human race was cursed. But why? Because Satan's sin, not all of the angels were cursed. Great. We were created in the image of God in Adam and Eve. So they were the head of the family. So when the head of the family collapsed, the whole thing collapsed. Okay? In creation of angels, they were not created on the image of God. They created as spirits. So when Satan, which was a high rank, so there were different ranks, right? In human there are no different ranks. We have only one rank. We are all human. In angels there were different ranks. And this high rank, when he disobeyed God, he had fallen. But the curse came to Satan itself, and some angels followed him as well. Some people estimate from the Bible the third of the angels followed him. But this is an estimate. based on a verse in Revelation. So this section of the angels who had fallen, became cursed. The rest did not fall. But in Adam's situation, you and me were not there during Adam's creation. But the angels were there during the fall of Lucifer. You happy? Good. Right. What's next?
Right. So, in the beginning, God created heavens and earth.
Yeah.
Whatever God creates, it will be very perfect.
Yeah.
But in verse 2, we can see that earth was formless and empty. Will God create useless things?
No. God doesn't create useless things. You are absolutely right. But let me explain that. He's describing the condition of the earth in day one. Okay? Not after the completion of the week. In day one, the earth was formless. It doesn't have a shape. And there was no life in it at all. So it was shapeless because it was solid mass and water. Yes? So there was no life in it at all. So that was the meaning of empty. So, as if somebody is designing or making a wonderful vase. So you bring a lump of clay. At the beginning, the lump of clay is not a vase. It's still unshaped, unformed. Yes? So, he created a mass, the earth. And there was no life in the earth. That's the description in day one. But wait till day 6 and everything will be complete. Okay?
And final question, sir. In Psalm 94, it says that 1,000 days of man is equal to 1 day in the sight of God.
Yes.
Does this verse have any relationship to the number of days of week?
That's a very good question. Have you heard that one? Yes. Yeah. This means the time is not, with God, is not the time that we measure. 1,000 days in the eyes of the Lord like 1 day, and 1 day like 1,000 years. So that magnifies each other. Yes? So 1,000 days like 1 day, and 1,000 year like 1 year, and 1 year like 1,000 years. Right? So that means God is outside time. It has nothing to do with Genesis chapter 1. Because the definition of the day, if there is evening and morning, and if there is number, that means it is 24-hour day. This is the regulation of the language. Great questions. I'm really delighted. Yes, come. Yeah. Come close to the camera.
Actually, my question is about what is the actual size of shape of the earth?
Yes.
Because if we see in the Bible talks about you can say the flat shape of the earth. Because I think in Ezekiel, I didn't remember exactly it says about the 4 corners of the earth. So if we apply these 4 corners of the earth, that means it will apply only to the flat earth, but not to the
No, it doesn't. That's a very good question. No, the Bible speaks about the sphere of the earth. Right? God sits on the sphere of the earth. He doesn't speak about God as flat. But when you say 4 corners of the earth, that means north and south, east and west. It doesn't mean at all it is a flat. It means 4 directions, north and south, east and west. Okay? So these are the 4 directions of the earth. The Bible doesn't speak about flat earth at all. It speaks about God sits on the sphere of the earth. So the Bible speaks about the earth as a sphere, not as a flat. Yeah. Okay.
My next question is, if we see in Joshua 10 chapter 13 verse, from there we can see that it mentions about that the sun stood still. So science tells us that the sun is a stationary object. That means the earth is revolving around the sun. So from here we can see that the sun stood still. That means the sun is...
No, that's a very good question. Let me explain that. In Joshua's situation, when we say the sun stood still, it doesn't mean the sun doesn't move. Like when the sun rises and the sun goes down, the sun doesn't rise or go down. This is how we see it from our angle. Alright? So this is the description from Joshua looking at the sun not moving. But that doesn't mean the Bible says that the sun doesn't move. Because the sun doesn't rise and doesn't sit down. Okay? So this is a description from your angle of seeing things. Okay? That's great. Any more? No, great. I'll stop here. Yeah, we'll continue because I'm just feeling tired. No. But please write your questions, and in our next session, I'll give you a break for 10 minutes, and I'll come back. Yeah? You happy to do that? Yes. Right. 10 minutes break, and then I'll come back and we'll continue the session. Okay? Just give me 10 minutes to rest. Okay? Thank you. You can move around. Was a question coming? Somebody was having a question before I left here. Yeah, sorry.
Aliens really exist.
Aliens?
They
Yes.
exist.
Are they real or not? Aliens, yes. Right, okay. Lots of people try to discover parts of the world and say there are aliens. Aliens are not human beings, and they try to find them and say the aliens are so powerful and they created the world. We don't believe that. But we believe in evil spirits that will be satanic, demonic creatures who are there to disturb people, but we don't believe in aliens as aliens that people trying to find to explain they are these powerful spirits that build the world. So the Bible doesn't speak about aliens, it speaks about evil spirits.
So you are saying aliens are evil spirits.
There are evil spirits, yes. And people were possessed with Satan in the Gospels, and the Lord Jesus cast out the evil spirit. Yeah? So the evil spirits are there. But aliens, no, we don't believe in aliens.
Aliens are not existing. You are saying.
Sorry?
You are saying aliens are not there.
No, they are not there. According to the Bible, they are not there. And according to science, they never prove they are there.
They are trying to prove.
They trying to prove it. Do you know why? Because they want to make them instead of God. They said aliens created the universe. And some people, aliens built the pyramids in Egypt. No, it was the Egyptians actually. The pharaohs, yeah? So people try to find the aliens to have a replacement for God. They don't want God, so they want aliens instead. Yeah? But we don't believe in aliens, we believe there are evil spirits in the world, yes. Good? Yes.
Because of sin of Adam and Eve, the whole creation was cursed.
Yes.
And Christ came and sacrificed his life, and all the sins are taken away.
Yes.
But the curse was not continuing. Even after the Jesus cross event, the curse was still continuing.
Yes.
Why the curse was still continuing?
That's a very good question. Do we understand the question? No. Right, I'll explain it again. He said, after Adam and Eve disobeyed God, the curse came into the world. We all agree about that. And Jesus came and died to pay the penalty of our sin, the curse will be removed. But we still have the disease and illness and death, despite the fact that Jesus came. Good question. Let me explain the three dimensions of salvation. When Jesus came and paid the penalty of sin, that is salvation from the penalty of sin. This salvation from the power of sin, and that's the second stage that we are in. And then the third stage, salvation from the body of sin. That's when Jesus Christ comes again. So we are in the second stage. So Jesus paid the penalty of our sin, so we cannot be condemned and we can be righteous before God. Yes? Now, we still have to suffer the pain and the death and the disease and all the trouble. But there will be a day coming when Jesus will come and there will be no death, no pain, no suffering, no disease, no mosquitoes. It will be great. Yes? That will happen in Revelation chapter 21. So there are three dimensions. Punishment of sin is taken by Jesus. The authority of sin, this is our daily struggle against sin, that's called sanctification. And the third stage is the redemption from the body of sin when Jesus comes again. You remember the 7C's? Creation, corruption, catastrophe, confusion, Christ, consummation. That's the second coming. When second coming comes, we will go back to the original, perfect creation. Well done, thank you. Yeah, more questions, yes.
So yesterday we were discussing about God is all-knowing, all-powerful,
Yes.
and He is the one who created everything.
Yes.
So my question is, He is all-knowing. Even though He is all-knowing, did He intentionally put sin in the Garden of Eden by putting that tree? What His intention? Did He mean like He wanted the people to sin, or He wanted to test them, or did He intend the Christ even to take place even before the creation?
That's a very good question. You all heard the question? You all understand it. That's very good. Let me explain something. God did not create evil in the Garden of Eden. The tree is good, but the tree is for knowing the knowledge of good and evil. So the tree itself is not evil. The tree itself is good, but it is meant to be for knowing the good and evil. Why God put it there then? Because God created Adam and Eve and gave them the freedom of choice. If you have freedom of choice, you have to choose between two things: obey or disobey. If there is no chance for you to disobey, that means you don't have freedom. You agree? So, in order for Adam and Eve to have full freedom, that means there should be a possibility that they disobey God. And this possibility happens when God put the tree, which was good tree. It's not sin. The tree is not sin. It is disobeying God and eating from that tree that will introduce the knowledge of good and evil. You see the point? So, in order to have freedom, you should have a choice to say no. Otherwise, you won't have a freedom. So we don't worship God automatically. We worship God by choice. But God, because He is all-knowing, knew that Adam and Eve will disobey. And as a result of disobedience, He prepared a plan. Before the creation of the world, the blood of Christ is known. So, if Adam and Eve, who are made of the image of God, disobey Him, then there will be a plan in action to save Adam and Eve and the world. And that's why Jesus came. Very good question. Any more? Your questions are great. And I'm happy to dedicate all this session. We're about to finish, but all this session for questions. I'm very happy with that. Any more? Yes.
God, after creating all things, He said it is good.
Yes.
And nowadays people are discovering the life on Mars and even Moon. They say that water is there and people can live even there. So why did God create people on that, human on that planets? Is it biblical or anti-biblical? Their researches are anti-biblical.
It's not scientific to start with. Let me explain these issues altogether. There is no people on Mars. We can't live on Mars. It is too hot. It's too warm. We cannot live on Mars. There is no atmosphere to breathe. The pressure and the temperature is not there for us to live. So what they found water in a form within rocks, right? But they didn't find flowing water like a river. They didn't find oceans, right? There are no humans at all on Mars. There are no humans anywhere in the universe because our body is adjusted to temperature. You remember when the astronauts go out to the space, they have to wear a special jacket to adjust the temperature, the pressure, the breathing. So there are no humans living anywhere else because no place in the universe is suitable for humans at all. What is suitable is here on earth alone. So we are unique. We are created of God's image. We are very special. We are VIP, very important people. All of us. And when we fall in, Jesus came to save us. So there is no people living anywhere else at all. Physically, none. And when they say found life, they found carbon, for example. They were trying to find carbon. Because carbon is essential for life. But it doesn't mean if you have carbon, you have life. Okay? Because carbon is, you know, the coal is carbon. So, but there is no life in coal. So, carbon is essential for life, but the presence of carbon in itself is not evidence of life. Okay? So, that's what I was saying to you in the first lecture. You have, when you hear these things in the television, on the television, or you read them in the newspaper, you have to think, is that a science or just an idea, somebody putting it forward? So all what you mentioned is just ideas, and no scientist will agree that they found any life anywhere else. A great question. Any more? Yes. Come in, come in. Come in front so we hear it. Yes.
Our Holy Scriptures, we believe that it is inspired by the
Holy
God,
Yes.
God's Spirit. And it has many a times we talk about the errors of the Bible.
Yes.
Like that which don't have vowels in the Hebrew text, and it have different meaning for a word. And we have a lot of explanations that contradicts many things. So for that, how can we authenticize Bible is the absolute one?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you. How can we understand that the Bible is the absolute Word of God? Right? There are many translations and many different scripts. When we say the Bible is the Word of God, we talk about the original document. Right? The Hebrew and the Greek document. And some was written in Arabic as well. So this, in the Old Testament, they were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947 in Jordan. They found the scripts, and these scrolls were covering 38 out of 39 books of the Old Testament. Okay? Now, this is the original, or copies of the original text. Any word can have different meanings. How can we understand the words? We have to understand them with their context. Right? So, when you have a text, you need to go and understand the whole chapter altogether. And then you come to the meaning of the Word of God. Like the word day in chapter 1. Lots of people say day is an unidentified period of time. We say no, the language here say night and day, evening and morning and number. That means it is 24-hour day. Right? So when you have a dispute about any part of the Bible, you need to see the original. What's the meaning in the original word? And you can do that through the dictionaries. Yeah, the text, yeah, excellent, yeah. And you can understand what it means, and then you'll be able to understand what God meant by that. And that's what keeps you right. People have different views because they see truths from different angles. So, if I am saying to you, can you see my computer? You say yes. Say, describe what you see. You say a silver screen. You say no, I'm seeing a brown screen in front of me. We are both talking about the same truth, but from different angles. But it has to be, you can't say I'm seeing a car. Yeah? But you are seeing the computer, but you are seeing silver screen, and I'm seeing a blue screen here, which you can see here. It's blue on my screen. So, you can have different views about the scripture, but it has to be the scripture. You understand? That's very important, very good question. Yeah, it was, yes.
Sir, my question is, serpent talked with Eve.
Yes.
But serpent did not talk with Adam.
Yes.
But at the same time, Adam also is there.
Yes.
Why serpent talked with Eve?
Yes, that's a very good question again. Right, because this is good. The serpent knew that God, serpent now here is Satan. Yeah? Satan invoked the serpent. He knew that God created man and woman, and the man is the head of the family and the woman is the body, as I said. So Satan is coming saying, I'm not going to accept the structure that God has made. I will start with the woman. You see the point? So the serpent tempted Eve. And when he tempted Eve, Eve surrendered to his temptation. And when she ate from the tree, she gave her husband who was there. Was he there listening to the whole conversation? I don't know. Was he there when she took the fruit and gave it to him? I don't know. The Bible doesn't describe that. But the idea is Satan is coming, if you like, from the back door through Eve to Adam. Just to show, I am not interested in your structure, God, I'm going to do it my own way. Yeah. Good. Any more? Yes.
Sir, I want to know about something about datings. Datings.
About what?
Datings. Like radiometric datings.
Oh.
Carbon dating. Personally, I do not believe on this radiometric datings because we have to assume when the event has happened in the past.
Yeah.
So that is they are loophole. But when we come to carbon dating, not in relation with living organisms, with rock, coal or diamonds like this. So many Christians and scientists they support this carbon dating because it is relevant to Bible. Because it tells us that Earth is young. So my question is that does it have carbon dating have a logic reason to prove that it is young, the Earth is young?
Thank you. He's asking about carbon dating. Let me explain the carbon dating so you understand what he means. There are some elements which are not stable, so they change from one element to another. So this carbon 12, that's a stable component. Carbon 14 is unstable, so it emits some particles and become nitrogen 14. You don't need to understand all of this, but just that. So if you have 1 kilogram of carbon 14, after something called half-life, after 5,730 years it becomes half a kilo. And this half a kilo after 5,730 years become quarter of a kilo. And goes on and on till it is very small. You understand? So if they found the small carbon 14, they can go back and say this is about how many thousands of years, right? This is the idea. Now, we don't know the original amount, and the rate of change can change as well. So these trace elements are not able to measure. Carbon 14 measures thousands of years, it doesn't measure millions of years. Okay? And they studied one of the stones, the hard stones, the diamond. Diamond is carbon, yeah? And they think diamond can take 300 million years to form. That means there will be no traces of carbon 14 because it lives only for thousands of years. But they found carbon 14 in the diamond. That means it is not 300 million years as they propose. So I have a full lecture about carbon 14 and potassium argon, but this is a full lecture. I don't think I'll start it now. But the idea is there are lots of fallacies and lots of questions about the radiometric dating. Many questions unanswered. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? We got only 5 minutes. Yeah. Go.
Sir, what the DNA is there. For DNA, what are the qualities of we can see in DNA? That means information we are getting, skin color, all these things we found in DNA. DNA is having an information. DNA. It is having some information like colors.
Yes.
So can a cell of a DNA can make a human?
Oh no, yeah. That's fine. Thank you. I think I got the question. I'll answer, and if I haven't answered, just come back and explain yourself more. Yeah, the DNA is the code mechanism which is in the cell. So there are millions and millions of codes. Something for the eye, for the ear, for the face, for the skin, for the stomach, for everything. Yes? So these codes are in the DNA in the cell. And it expresses itself in different ways. So if my skin color is dark, that means I have more melanin. If my skin color is lighter, that means I have less melanin. Okay? So that's the DNA is the information center which gives information to the cell. So what's your question now?
My question is, nowadays the people are making cloning, cryogenic process.
Yeah, I told you the cloning yesterday. They took what we call somatic cells, not the sperm and the ova and make zygote and make the embryo. Because we have half of our information from the mother, half the information from the man, the father. Yes?
Yes, sir.
They didn't go that way. They took a cell full of information and stimulated it in such a way to make an embryo. And they planted the embryo in the sheep room. And it was born. But it was born with the same age of the mother. Okay? And because of that, this sheep died very quickly and they have arthritis. So cloning is not creation. Cloning is starting with a living cell and modifying it. But all the information was in the cell originally. But God created for nothing and make us with all this information. Right?
After the nowadays cryogenic process is going on. In Britain, 14 years girl asked that I want to leave. So they said that the court accepted her request. And the process is that cryogenic process. After that, in the body they will take all the blood. And is it possible to give rebirth for a person after death?
No. There is no possibility of a person after he dies we can revive him at all. Is that your question? I'm not sure. No. Can you explain the question?
I think he was asking that a 14-year-old was dying.
Yes.
Yeah, and she made a plea that she wants to live another life. The 14-year-old girl, and maybe that request was accepted. And he said, is it possible that a person can get a second life?
No.
Physically?
No. The Bible says, yeah, thank you. That's your question now. The Bible says it is appointed for us to die once. So appointed for us to live, make our decision about accepting or refusing Christ, and then after we die, there is judgment. So we don't have second chance. We don't go into the cycles of living and dying, living and dying, living and dying. We don't do that. Yeah? So we have only one chance in life, and when we die, and there is no second chance. Any more questions? Because I'd like you to be happy with the answer, because I didn't understand your question. You got an answer or not? You keep coming. Yeah, give him the mic.
Sir, when actually the person dies, when he stops breathing, or when the spirit goes out of his body?
Yeah. Obviously, when the person dies, there are physical functions that stops. It's actually the brain stem, the brain death, which is more important. Because the centers of respiration in the brain stem. So when the brain stem dies, that means the death. Because some people will be in coma, but still living. Because we can put them on a machine to breathe for them. But when the brain stem dies, then they declare death. And there are tests to prove that. Prove that the death. So the spirit leaves when the body dies. So when Jesus on the cross, I give my spirit, and he died.
So when we say that we don't have second life, then when Jesus raised up Lazarus,
Yeah,
then what will go?
this is a miracle. And miracles, we cannot explain miracles. Because by definition, miracle is a supernatural act of God. So if it's a supernatural, I can't explain it by natural law. So when Jesus rose Lazarus from the dead, because he is the giver of life, and he can bring life again. So that is a miracle. And miracle I cannot explain. Okay, thank you very much for this very interesting session. And in the afternoon, 2:30, we'll talk about Darwin and his saving detail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You're provoking the students to think. And coming up about questions, it means you are very successful in presenting. Thank you so much for the questions as well. Joseph, I know you have questions. We will give a slot for you in the afternoon. Thank you so much. Let's have a word of prayer to wind up this session. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for answering our prayers and also helping us to think and ask questions. And we especially thank you for the teacher that he is able to at least to some extent answer those questions and satisfy us. May this all be helpful in the ministry in the future. To you be the glory, to you be the honor. For we offer this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.